Paul Ryan says he's found a way for no-cost job creation on a major scale. Congressman Ryan held a hearing today on the benefits of fundamental tax reform. He also released a new video announcing a push for that tax reform. He wants fair, competitive, and simple. Joining us now is Paul Ryan, House Budget Committee Chairman, Republican from the state of Wisconsin. Paul, welcome back. I just want to ask you, there's a poll out today from Bloomberg News. Okay, there I said it. 51% oppose the Obama jobs plan, and 56% of independents doubt that the plan can work. Is there any way we can avoid this 2013 tax cliff with your plan? Taxes go down for a year and then they go back up in 2013. How do we get out of this fix?
Well, we passed major tax reform. And as you know, Larry, with 2013 coming under current law, and then with this new proposal, the cliff just is that much steeper. And so we have to acknowledge that businesses look to the future to plan. And when they see this massive tax increase coming and then promises of more taxes on top of that, look, that just hurts job creation. So what we're talking about here, you can go to budget.house.gov to hear very clearly what I'm talking about. It's what we passed in the House-passed budget, which says, let's do fundamental tax reform, lower our top tax rates to 25% through closing loopholes and broadening the tax base. You can do it on a revenue-neutral basis, meaning it won't cost anything. The president is pushing stimulus 2, which is basically the old stimulus bill divided by 2. It's proven not to work. Look, when we did rebates in the Bush administration, it failed. So it's not as if it's just President Obama. These ideas have been tried over and over again. In this demand side, seeing short-term booster shots just don't have any boost. And they're a poor substitute for real tax reform, which is what we're talking about.
No, absolutely. I mean, even the president periodically talks about this kind of reform.
That's right.
But we never seem to get anything from it. And I guess, is it possible to stop the machinery of this spending package and these temporary tax cuts that are going to reverse in 2013 and focus on something that might actually help long-term investment with your fundamental reform? I mean, is that possible? Is that where the Republicans are going to go?
It is, and we're trying to make it possible. So I don't know the answer to your question, whether it's possible or not, but it won't be for our lack of trying. We fundamentally believe that the best way to create jobs and prosperity today is not to build an even steeper tax cliff coming in 2013, but to engage in fundamental tax reform as soon as possible, meaning now. The president has said a few times he likes the idea of corporate tax reform. Democrats on the Fiscal Commission I served with, like Erskine Bowles, put out a very specific plan to do that. So what we're trying to say is, look, we think there's some bipartisanship here at fundamental tax reform, and that's what we're calling for. This video I put out there, you can go to budget.house.gov and see what I'm talking about, which is broaden the tax base, lower the tax rates, and give businesses certainty at permanent and a more competitive tax system, a simple, fair tax system. That, to me, is a no-brainer, Larry. So rather than going with ideas that have proven to fail, why don't we pass ideas that have a really good track record of working and creating jobs and prosperity like tax reform?
And listen, I'm there, you know that. But the president's idea of tax reform, as I understand it, he wants the top rates to go up.
Right.
Now, how do you treat the top rates in your tax reform?
Well, we lower all tax rates, individuals and businesses, to 25%. So we go with lower rates, broader base. Now, we understand that the president on the individual side of the code, like you say, wants a higher tax rate system.
What would the middle class tax rate be, Paul? And once you get down into the, what is now, what, 20, 28, 20, 25, 20%, where would that go in your plan?
Well, we put out the broad framework of a tax reform plan in the budget. The details obviously get filled in by Dave Camp and the Ways and Means Committee, but the top tax rate would be 25%. In legislation that I've introduced in the past, it'd be 10% on the first $100,000 for couples, 50 for individuals, and then 25 above that. That's my own personal legislation, but these are things that Chairman Dave Camp and the Ways and Means Committee would sort out within the framework that we already passed in the House budget, which said top out the rate on corporations and businesses and individuals at 25%. And so what I'm trying to say, Larry, is look, maybe the president won't do individual reform because he's just too wedded to class warfare on that side. But what about corporate reform? He talks about that. And there are a lot of Democrats around here who talk about doing that. So let's at least do that so we can lower the rate, have an internationally competitive system, and broaden the base.
On the corporate reform, what about the territorial piece? Is there a way to stop the double taxation of foreign profits?
Yeah, go to territorial system. I mean, we've obviously advocated that. We had a hearing today in the Budget Committee where the witnesses all basically said that we should go to a territorial system. I think it's a no-brainer for us. We're the only country in the G7 that has a worldwide-based system. only, I think, like 8 other countries in the OECD have a worldwide system, and their average rate's 21%. So, look, the worldwide average rate is 25% for all industrialized countries. We're at 35, 39.2 if you add in states, and we're on a worldwide basis. So we're really shooting ourselves in the foot.
Just the last one at a time. The $200 billion of new spending in the Obama jobs plan, I think that's where this poll opposing it comes from. Is there a way to stop that $200 billion?
Stop the $200 billion in spending? Yeah, we just don't pass it.
Don't spend it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. It's temporary spending for permanent tax increases. It's a bad idea.
All right. We'll leave it there. House Budget Committee Chair Paul Ryan with a spiffy new plan to have fundamental tax reform. Many thanks, Mr. Ryan. We appreciate it, as always.